Vera is the widow of my mentor, Jake Combs, many of you know. He mentored me for 34 years. He was a walking concordance. He answered every question I had with a Bible verse. And he was on his knees praying for me every Wednesday. And that's gave me a picture of what discipleship looks like. I was talking to Vera at a Navigator conference. Well, Vera was asking me, well, what are you thinking of doing? And I said, well, I was thinking at first, maybe I ought to be a pastor. I've been preaching out at this small church out in the country, but that takes too much training. And I thought, well, maybe I should be a counselor. People come to me all the time, but that takes too much training. Then I said, but I've been thinking lately about being a life coach. And she frowns, what's a life coach? And I tried to explain that to her, and she was still frowning. And I thought, no, it's probably not a good direction. And then these words came to me. I swear they were not my own words, because I'm screaming on the inside, don't say this, don't say this, don't say this. But the words that came to me, and here I am at a Navigator workshop, I said, well, maybe I should look into going on staff with the Navigators. And Vera, oh, she brightens up. She smiles. And I'm going, why did I say that? I don't want to go on staff with the Navigators. You have to raise support. You have to make enemies out of your friends. You don't want to be a Navigator. And then I found myself talking to somebody else. I say, I was kind of thinking, wondering maybe I should go on Nav staff. Oh, that's a great fit for you, Ron. And I said, great. I go to somebody else. I keep waiting for somebody to say, don't do that. And I've never gotten it. Never gotten it. In fact, Phil Truesdale, and Phil says, all the people I've talked to, I can't think of a better fit of an individual for a ministry than you with the Navigators. And so I contacted Dave Waddell over here, and Dave got on it just like that. Dave was saying the same stuff. And I said, but Dave, you don't know me that well. I know you. You're fully vetted. You're with Jake 34 years. I've heard you speak. You are vetted. You are trained. And so the door is flowing open for me to do this. In Acts 16, it's Paul going into Philippi. And at the beginning, he was heading for Asia. He and Silas, and he brought Timothy along with him. They're heading for Asia. And then all of a sudden, the Spirit of Jesus stopped him. No, this isn't where you're supposed to go. And he tried it. No, this isn't where you're supposed to go. And then there's this vision of a man of Macedonia. It says, come to us in Macedonia, come to Philippi. And so he goes to Philippi. He expects to find a synagogue. There's no synagogue. And then he goes out to the river where people are praying, expects to find men. There's no men. And then this woman becomes a Christian who sells, I've been speaking at Hallmark, so I say sells purple wrapping paper. And so she persuades them to stay at her house. Okay, all along, do you see what's happening? Paul had an expectation. He expected to go to Asia. He expected to see a man of Macedonia. He expected a synagogue. He expected all these things. Now, does God not care about Asians? Yes, he cares about Asians. In fact, if you go a few chapters later in Acts chapter 19, Paul is teaching in the school of Tyrannus. And right there, the people that came in, they're Asian. He reached the Asians, but in a different way. See how that applies to me? Is that I've been heading for Asia all this time. The road is blocked to continue in Asia. But God still, he created me to create cartoons. There will still be another avenue to use my cartoons.